Welcome to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today in my swing studio, and the purpose of today's video is going to be showing you how you can self-analyze your golf swing. So I'm going to show you where you should be recording from, and when you are using a tool to review your swing, where you should draw the lines on the screen. So this might sound a little bit simplistic, but I get a lot of people sending me their swings on online lessons, and quite often from bad camera angles. And I know a lot of people are downloading these free or cheap apps to use on their phones or on their tablets to review their swing. But if you're recording it in the wrong position, or you're not looking from the right angles, you're not drawing the right lines on it, it's very hard to analyze your own golf swing. So I'm going to make this a little simpler for you and just give you some do's and don'ts on recording, and of course where you should draw those lines when you're trying to look at things like the swing path that you're swinging on. So I'm going to talk from two angles, from a downline position and from a face-on. You could use other camera angles. For instance, the behind camera position does sound a little bit strange, but it's great to look at the tilt of your hips and how the hips move, the torso. So from a behind position, effectively looking at your backside and your torso, is very good to look at body movement, rotation. But the most two common, I guess, camera angles would be a downline position and a face-on position from here. So the face-on is maybe the easiest to start with. What I would like is the camera at right angles to your target. So I would always use, when you're practicing, some tour sticks or just some clubs down on the floor level. Excuse me. So I would place something down so you know your target line. So I've got something there for my club line. However we use this, whether it's just in front of the ball or just outside the ball on our target line, and another one for parallel left for our feet line, for our body line. That's for a right-handed golfer. And I want the camera at right angles to that. If the camera was set and pointing in this position, or too far over here pointing this direction, it's going to be harder to see. So we really want the camera actually straight on, face on to us, level with the center of my body. So camera is around center of my body and it's at right angles to the target line. That's what we're really looking for, if possible. So we can really start to analyze from this camera angle things like body movement, height gain. We can look at shaft position at impact, whether our hands are leading the club or behind. So we can start to get a real good idea of I guess, what we called sway or body movement, how we apply pressure, head movement, shaft angle from this face-on position. But we want it around center of our body, and we want it at right angles to our target line, okay? From a downline position, and these cameras aren't exactly where I would have them, but I'm going to actually bring up on the screen when I go ahead and hit a shot, a slow-mo with the camera in the exact position I would record from, and I'll show you also the lines that I would be drawing on the screen. So what I like from this camera position, from the downline position, is the camera to be level with my hands. So what I would do is I'd set up to the ball, and my hands are just hanging just almost on the front edge of my toe line here. That's where I would place a cane, so just in front of my toe line where my hands are hanging, and that's where I want the camera to be. Okay, so these cameras are a little off here, but as I said, when I go ahead and hit one, we'll have the camera bang on line with my hands. That is the center of my swing, so not where the club is, not where the center of my body is. We're going from a central point somewhere between our body and the club head, being our hands. So I really want the camera position to be there. The height doesn't matter as much, but if again we could get it around center of our body, around level with our hips, that would be ideal. But the important part is that we don't have the camera set too far over here or too far over here. And if it's changing each time you're recording it and you're trying to review and see progress, really hard, really tough. From this camera angle, we're able to look at The things like our swing path on the way back, whether we get steeper, shallow, we can look at the club face position in the takeaway, in the backswing. So it's a really useful camera position from downline. I would say this is the most common camera position that you would see, but don't underestimate using a face on camera as well. I don't think they need to be the same swing. People think they're going to make a completely different golf swing, one swing to the next, and I don't see that. When I record people, if I record 10 swings and I showed them, I don't think they would see any real differences in there. So don't worry, even if it's a different shot. If you've got one camera and you do one from here, one from there, it's fine. It's not a problem. It doesn't have to be that you've got two cameras set up. But the important thing is that the camera is where our hands are. So I'd again leave some canes down or clubs. This one is the important one. So that's my target line. This is parallel left of my target line, and it's right underneath where my hands are hanging, which is just in front of my toe line, and that's where I want the camera to be. In terms of looking actually at the lines on the swing, the screen that we draw, so I'm going to get in my setup position and stay static for a little bit and draw the lines on the screen so you guys can see. So the first line I would draw on the screen would be the club shaft at address. If possible, we want to get close to returning our club on that same line if we could. Now the reality is our hands are going to get pushed a little bit higher. The shaft is bending or bowing this way on the downswing, our hands are getting pushed a little bit higher, but the more elite golfers get closer to maintaining this shaft angle. So if you just draw a line straight up the club shaft here, it's going to be pointing around belly button, belt buckle, but we want to get close to returning our shaft into the same position if possible, knowing that we are going to go a little higher. Okay. The second line would start from the heel of the golf club. So the heel of the golf club is what we call our base plane line. So we want the line to be starting from the heel of the golf club, which is just inside my ball to target line. And that is going to come up and it's actually going to be going through my trail elbow, so my right elbow. Of course, if I get in a wrong position, if I start in a completely different start position, that's going to be a little bit off. But I would start from the heel of the golf club, that line, and it would cut through the underneath of your trail elbow. So I'll just stay static in this position for a second. So you can see that line from the heel of the golf club, our base plane line, and it's going through our elbow. Some people like to draw the line following the club shaft up and extending, and then they'll draw the line that will go from the heel of the club through your shoulder, and that will make this cone that you'll see on the screen, and they'll say somewhere between those two lines is where we want to be swinging the golf club up on and down on. What we see with the majority of elite golfers is they will be slightly higher in the backswing, slightly shallower on the downswing. But if you are just going to draw the one line on there, as I would tend to do, it's going to be from the heel of the club through your right elbow for right-handed golfers, through your trail elbow. And that's our ideal swing plane line. If I was drawing any other lines on the screen, I would draw a line on my forehead to see if there's any of this movement, okay, forwards and backwards away from the golf ball. The top of my head to see if there's any of this movement, and just on my backside here to see the early extension movement where I'm able to keep my backside on that line or whether I'm coming off it. So I generally draw line on the forehead, line on top of head, line on pelvis, club shaft, so heel of the head to the grip, and I would also do heel of the head through my trail elbow. And you'll see when I go ahead and hit this, the lines on the screen and how that would work for me. I wish I could hit them all like that. Go on, hit the line. Pretty close. If you are going to self-analyze your swing, I would always seek the advice of a PGA professional. I offer online lessons. If I can help, please let me know.